Good day to you all. You're watching Malaika, the talk show for African Christian women. It's an absolute pleasure to be in studio today. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be back in an instant. Navigating a marriage in crisis. That is our topic today. Anyone who is married will know that this is a very relevant situation, and it's quite common, actually more common than you'll actually believe. So in studio today to answer these questions, we have Mama Audrey.
As usual, Jackie.
Yes, thank you. Seated on your post, as faithful and loyal as ever.
Amen.
We also have Auntie Zod and Tatiana. How are you ladies?
No,
Very good.
We're good.
Very good. Awesome. In studio, we also have Sheila Mativenga from Harare, Zimbabwe. She's a pastor's wife, and we'll hear from her later on in the studio. To get us started, we're going to move straight over to Tatiana's overview. So, Tatiana, this is a subject that's not the lightest of topics, a bit heavy.
Well, that is why I made my overview ultra light.
Awesome.
So to get us started.
No heavy cream on this one.
No
light
heavy cream on this one, straight to the point. This may come as a surprise to you viewers and everyone on this platform, but Christian marriages, like any other marriages, experience difficulties and challenges. Because being a Christian does not automatically make you a perfect person.
Oh, you just burst my bubble.
Yeah, I was about to say, for any of those who are now are digesting this, let's move on.
You're not perfect. And never
nobody's perfect. No one is perfect. So what is a marriage crisis? A marriage crisis typically occurs when an unusual amount of stress or unresolved conflict causes a level of anxiety to become too intense for the couple to manage. As a result, anger, resentment, dissatisfaction, frustration, and all of the above, helplessness, take over the relationship. It's important to note that it's not because we have the crisis that we don't continue. The couple typically continues interacting negatively or disengages completely from each other as the relationship continues to shut down. Well, this is a Christian program, so we want to look at what are the top challenges that Christians face in their marriages. And coming in at number one are communication challenges. I don't think we need to elaborate on this one.
No.
It's a play on words, communication.
Yes.
Unforgiveness is number two. The Bible is very clear that we need to forgive. Yet so often in our marriages, we simply refuse to do this. We cling to our rights instead of forgiving our spouses and for their wrongs. And one of the biggest causes of unforgiveness amongst Christians is infidelity.
Sad.
Yeah. That's a heavy one, sad one.
Number three is pride, lack of vulnerability, and embarrassment, because the three play a role in one another. So this is a major, major, major mistake and a big reason why Christian marriages struggle. There are two sides here. The first is a hesitancy to share for fear of being judged by others or being perceived as weak. But on the other side of the coin, it's simply that we believe or have this belief or idea that we should not be struggling. Therefore, we don't ask for help, which is pride.
Yeah.
Number four is a lack of investment. Sometimes we think that because we're Christians, we go to church, we read our Bibles and pray, that we've done everything that we need to make our marriages successful and that we don't need that investment or counseling or advice or support. So I've done my part and that's it. Well, we will see how it rolls. And that is often not the case. The last and perhaps one of the most common are expectations. We place expectations on our...
Expectations? What? Have expectations?
I don't know, to cook, clean, do everything.
No, that's a heavy, that's a big one.
Speak well, remember all the birthdays, the butter, the milk, the sugar. Take the kids. No, we place expectations on our husbands or wives to do or be what we want them to be. And we also deceive ourselves sometimes by thinking that if my spouse, my wife or my husband would change, then I would be happy.
Everything will be
fine. And thus our marriage will be perfect.
Yeah, so it's his fault.
It's always
my husband listening. No, darling, I'm joking.
Well, as I said, it was going to be very light and short. Over to you, Jack.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you for that overview. So, Auntie Zodwa, Tell me, literally on the ground in Southern Africa, can you just translate this into the practical things that are happening for us?
Yeah, yes, Jackie. I think you will agree with me that when you look at marriages in the past, I'm thinking of anyone over 50 years of age, it was very stable, long-lasting. There was very little divorce between 50-year-olds going up because there was a respect for marriage as an institution. And there was respect between man and wife. That sanctity of marriage was very real. But as the years have gone by, as the world has become stronger and stronger, it's like the values of the world have infiltrated the church. And therefore, marriage is just two people, they go and sign a register, but there's no commitment. Because you can hear extreme cases of infidelity straight after the wedding. And you think, but how is that possible? So why did they even get married in the first place? So that sanctity and purity that marriage used to be, in fact, it was a pride to be married and to be together with your husband. But now, many young people don't value marriage. In fact, most of them don't even want to get married, as we were saying. So because of that, people are not behaving in the same way they used to. And then you add to the pressures of this world today, the financial pressure, the fact that the woman works, he works, they have children, they can't contain their family because this one goes off this way, they've got their own interests, she still wants to go to the gym and do this and do that, but no one is investing in the marriage. It's like people get into marriage with a selfish attitude that I'll continue the way I was when I was single, but add this. And they don't realize that this marriage and this relationship is actually now the priority. So they still prioritize themselves as individuals and then try to somehow meet halfway, but it just never works. So what we're seeing is more and more the younger generation, within the first year, they've had enough. 2 years, they are divorced, which is something it was just never heard of before. At least maybe after 20 years I would understand, but now it's like immediately, and it's growing, and I'm talking about in the church as much as in the world. And just one little fact that just in Zimbabwe alone, the divorce rate has gone up by 100% year on year. Yes. So for example, if it was 2,000 last year, this year is 4,000 divorces.
Sanctity has gone.
So, and this is in Zimbabwe.
Of course, that is including everything. That's not the church.
That's not just the church
general
on its own,
statistics.
but this is just in general, the divorce rate. So it just tells you how marriage is really, the enemy is against, the enemy is destroying lives. And that's literally what we're talking about.
That's a very shocking divorce rate.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's like that? Why are divorces happening so often left, right and center, Mama Audrey?
I mean, I think there are many, many reasons for that situation to be like this. Number one, I think that people have got an ideal understanding of marriage, which is far from reality. And most of couples who get married, they are not ready to enter that boat. They are not mature to be able to cope with the life's challenges, with the life's situations, and suddenly adapt with that. It's a totally new style of life. It demands everything from you. Now you're no more one, you're two. And you've got to no more live as one, but you've got to live as two. You know, I've got the image of these girls who are born together, who are tied together. No one can do anything, they are one. And it's the same with a marriage. And often these young people who get married, they're excited, they think marriage is something, you know, a dream, it's something incredible, that's the best thing that can happen to them. But in reality, they are not ready. They are not ready to come to face the challenges, the situations, even cope with themselves. They've got to cope with themselves. Suddenly have the husband who enters their bubble. They've got to make room for the husband, to understand the husband, to deny themselves. They've got to... I mean, it's a complicated thing. And if you're not ready, and if you're not mature, you're not established in the Lord, I don't personally think any marriage can work without the Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're not established in the Lord, and you know, the honeymoon excitement doesn't last.
No, it doesn't.
Not anymore.
No.
It has never lasted.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
It's for a time, you know, fire, it burns for a time. But they think that's something that goes on forever, but it's not the case.
It's not like this one, right?
It's not the case. So these are some of the many reasons. We see that there's no difference now between the world and the church, because it's the same thing applies to the young people of the church. If you're not equipped, even if you're a Christian, it doesn't make a difference.
Exactly.
Of course, the Lord will help you more than somebody of the world would receive help. But if you're not mature, if you're not ready, you don't understand what is the commitment of marriage, what the Lord is expecting of you, what is your responsibility. You know, it's easy to say for the better and for the worse. It's just words. But when you come into that situation, these words have got no more weight.
Yeah.
It's who you are, who is able or not able to go through that without being tainted, without being damaged, without being hurt. The number of hurts in the marriage is huge. So it's not a surprise when I hear that divorce is the same, nearly the same in the world, that in the church, the amount of divorce is doubled, and it can get only worse. It won't get better, it will only get worse.
Can you imagine from 100%, how high are we going to go now? We hit the ceiling.
I'm sure these expectations, I'm sure they're fed in by the media, by the movies that we see. Before we had Cinderella and we had fairy tales. Now we have catastrophe.
I know.
Everything you see on Netflix and on TV, I'm sure it doesn't help.
No,
to fuel the infidelity, to fuel those crazy, insane expectations.
Exactly.
It encourages rebellion in the wife. It encourages 100%. Independence, infidelity in the husband. It's all normal. It's all on screen. It perverts the whole image of marriage that is in the heart of the Lord since the beginning.
Exactly. We're going to go over to Sheila Mativenga, who's on standby. So Sheila, could you just give us some specific instances where couples have come to you with the issues they've had in their marriage? Could you just describe a few, please?
First and foremost, I would like to say that for me, from where I come from and what I've seen, the major problem is getting into marriage without really knowing what you are getting into. I think that the problem is thinking that I'm going there, this man has to look after me, or this woman will meet all my needs and clean and do all these things for me. It's the out of this world expectations that the couple is putting on one another without saying it. Each person is expecting certain things, and they haven't communicated, they have not discussed, they have not gone for proper premarital counsel where they are shown what marriage is all about. And as our sister Audrey, Mama Audrey has said, the thing is, the marriage today is a far cry from what God meant it to be. It's because even in Christians, it's like we've taken God out of the marriage. So how can it be normal? So marriage is in crisis because of mainly, maybe to summarize it, three major things: expectations, and then how to deal with finances, each person wanting to hold their own pace, and maybe also the other is tradition, where tradition and Christianity clash, all those things.
Okay, thank you, Sheila Mativenga, for that one. Could we just, Auntie Sods, about tradition, could you please elaborate on what she's touched on, one of the main reasons on the tradition and how that affects a marriage?
I think the tradition actually is one of the biggest challenges for African couples, because there is so much expectation that comes from the family that a woman should do this, a woman must look after a husband in a particular way. She must do it all. She
has to be the perfect one.
Actually, she carries the home. So she works. After work, she comes home. She must clean. She must cook. She'll be the one who's pregnant. She's the one who raised the children. Meantime, dad is sitting reading the newspaper, because men don't do much work in Africa, because men, their role, I actually don't know what their role is. When you look at it in a traditional sense, all you saw was your dad sitting and reading the newspaper while your mom did everything. Except now, maybe I'll say in the gospel, that's the only place where I've seen men getting involved in the home. So it's a frustration for the wife many times. And also women are now working good jobs, and it's possible she's earning more. So there's that resentment sometimes where I'm doing everything for you and still earning the money, and still it's like you carrying everything. And then on top of that, as a daughter-in-law, there's an expectation for you to do certain things, to look after the family. Extended family can be brought to your home, and you are supposed to just accept and take care. Mom-in-law can just wake up and decide, I'm coming to spend 2 weeks at your house, and there's nothing you can do. So all those things where she has no voice as the daughter-in-law, but it's her home, but it's not acceptable for her to even complain. So that on top of the things we've already said, it already puts so much pressure.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we'll move over to Sheila. Sheila, could you tell us any specific instance in your marriage? I know you're married to a wonderful elder by the name of Daniel Mativenga, where you had to face something regarding your in-laws, either at the beginning of your marriage or even now.
I'm grateful that even we started off well, in the sense that we had a good counselor. Our marriage officer was Babam Kwananzi, a very renowned, passionate marriage officer who helped us. But with all that, when we got married, there was expectation from family, especially on the area of, is the baby? Where is the child? When are you going to have a baby? It was such a big thing, but because Daniel and me had agreed that we were not going to have a child soon after our marriage, we wanted to wait. But there was pressure, and the pressure was on my husband. What are you doing? And because I was working and, going to work every morning, but still there was that demand. But we simply, ignored it. But you know what? It hurts when you hear, oh, my sister-in-law was saying this about this, or this one was saying this. But because of the grace of the Lord, it didn't break us. We continued. And also the issue which Zodwa mentioned about in-laws, they can just be sent to come and stay with you. No one considers that maybe you are newly married, you are trying to learn this guy, or this guy is trying to also learn you, to know each other. Then if you have a third person in between, just like that, it's difficult. But thank God that if you have been properly counseled before the marriage, at least you know what to say no to avoid this crisis.
Thank you, Sheila, for that input. But from what she's just said now, when do you think a couple should actually seek help, and to whom can a couple go to? Like what Tatiana said, many people, it's just, we're supposed to be the perfect couple here, be quiet. When is it vital for couples to seek help?
First of all, I will say when. It's sad to see that young couples, boys and girls, get married. And we heard Tatiana share about the issues that happen in year 1, year 2, year 3, or whatever, and how finances, career, lifestyle, where we're going to live, all these things should never be discussed after the marriage. These issues should be discussed even before engagement. I should know what my husband, how he sees finances. If I love supporting the church, does he love supporting the church? I vice versa. If he's a giver, if he's not a giver, how he's been raised, what style of leadership it will be. I will be the interference of my in-laws in my family. I can't wait to be married to suddenly realize that whatever my in-laws want, I've got to say yes. It's too late. These things need to be addressed much before.
Yeah.
Are we going to have kids? Are we going to live at the in-laws? If I'm going to live at my in-law, where? How that's going to work? All these boxes needs to be ticked. Because otherwise these are going to be the major issues in the first years of our marriage. If we've already overcome these obstacles, already we've got a clean path. And I'm talking about this not only for Christians. I'm talking about this to all the young people who hear me. Not only for Christians. And you think you're a young girl, you say, okay, I don't want to get into that because it might be the wrong thing. And when we're getting married, it's going to change. Nothing will change. You better sort these things now. Because when you get married, if he's used to listen to his mother, he will listen to his mother. He will do what she tells him to do, whether you like it or not. So if we want to give a chance to a marriage to succeed, let's start the right way. Of course, number one, if we're a Christian, let's make sure, at least in our hearts, go to the Lord and make sure the Lord gives us a green light. Not because we fall in love, because, you know, very often people tell you, how many girls came to see me? You know what? It's clear for me that boy is a plan of God for me. But the same boy, it was about 5 girls. Or the same girl was about 5 boys.
Oopsie.
Who said, you know, it's clear for me that's the plan of the Lord. But they just hear their flesh. They don't hear the Lord because the Holy Spirit is not confused. So make sure you're knowing what you're doing and that you are doing the right thing. Marriage is about life. Don't ruin your life. Don't gamble your life. We've seen so many young people zealous for the Lord, and suddenly they get married. We don't see them in church anymore because the pressures of life, the situation they are coping with, they are facing, is too much for them. Their heart gets rotten. They have unforgiveness one towards the other. They have been hurt. It's a terrible situation and they can't cope. They are even embarrassed to come to church. And before you know, they are either splitting or they have left the church or they are in a mess. This one is back to drinking. So marriage is a very serious thing. It's not something, it's not like a loaded gun you want to play with. You don't want to give it to children. It's something that we need to know what we are doing and we need to be serious.
And Mama Audrey, I'm thinking of our viewers and as we saw in the overview and what we heard with Auntie Zodwa, what about those who are struggling now? And we saw that the major cause is infidelity, unforgiveness in Africa. How can they overcome this? Because they're struggling, they want to forgive, but at the same time they hold on to their hurts. What's the way forward?
Yeah, you know, the way forward, as usual, is the gospel. It's the Lord to help you to forgive, because if you don't forgive, you are going to carry that hurt the rest of your life. If you want that hurt to be healed, that's the only way for that hurt to be healed is for you to forgive. And I know it's hard, and you must look for help. Look for help with the Lord. Look for help with sisters that you can trust, not like Auntie Zola said earlier on, with the aunt or the uncle, or because she's supposed to be the one to give you good advice. But look for help with people that you can feel are wise, will help you, will give you good counsel, good advice, not tell you leave the man, go this, do this, and
godly
give
counsel.
You worldly advice. And if you have got nobody, write to us. I mean, at least write to Auntie Zods, write to us, to Jackie, to any of us, and we'll help you the way we can. I know it's hard, but you're in that situation and you need a solution. And Jesus has a solution, and it's not going to be magic. There will be a cross, there'll be attitudes, there'll be a death, there'll be a suffering, but there will be freedom. This is what is the most important thing, and to have wisdom how to live and how to live in that situation and how to cope with that situation.
Thank you. Thank you. And to end it, Mama Audrey, just round it up quickly with a bow and tie it.
Oh, Lord, help us.
And deliver it.
You know, those who are getting married, who are thinking of getting married, please think twice. weight on every side. And, you know, and even if you have been engaged and realize you are doing the wrong thing, break the engagement. Huh? It's not too late. But don't get involved. If you think you're not ready for it, better run. Better break the engagement, but don't get into something because you have to, because people expect it from you, because there are expectations on you, society, parents, in-laws. You don't have to go under no pressure of any kind. And for those who are married, if you want the Lord to help you, I'm sure you've got a church, hopefully they can advise you, they can help you. Marriage, I mean, if you're going through a hard time in your marriage, please be reassured, you're not the only one. 99% of people who are married are going through hard times. So you are just part of the lot, like many others. And the Lord has a solution. The Lord has a way to help you, to equip you. It doesn't mean He's going to change the situation. It doesn't mean the situation will change tomorrow, but He will change you and equip you to face the situation and give you direction. So I believe that in Jesus, we have every solution. We can hope, we can be sure and have faith that the Lord will make a way for us. He's a God of miracles. He can do things. But don't try to change your husband. Don't try to change your wife. It will not work. Let Jesus do that.
Exactly.
Let this in His hands.
Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you. We've come to the end of our segment today. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Sheila Mativenga, thank you so much for your input today. Viewers, thank you for staying with us. It is possible. Yes, we all go through problems, but put your eyes on Jesus. Until the next time, goodbye.